And I think one of the most beautiful things I ever heard was during one of those ceremonies or meetings. It was a retreat, and someone mentioned during a moon ceremony, goes, when do we get permission to stop healing? And I was like, what a wonderful concept. Yeah. Epiphany right there, right? I'm like, when we spend so much time trying to heal it, but when can we ask ourselves, when are we done healing? That gives us that potential of going, hey, I can call it when I'm done. And if I want to pick up somewhere else and work on something else, I can do that. And I have many clients that come and go, I've already worked on that. I'm like, okay, great. I won't touch it unless you bring it up. But if we find a connection and we find there's a correlation, we can touch that. But I will not touch that because that is your choice and that's your timing. And that goes with anything. And that's also with spirits. They don't want to touch certain things. There's a reason why. You have to respect that. Don't push it. A lot of times we have spirits that go in and we have the narrative, the story of their trauma or the haunting or their passing. That narrative is re-traumatizing constantly. Just to think, if you were retelling your story over and over again, wouldn't you get stuck in that narrative and that identity?
Yeah, you definitely would.
So
I know people like that, have known people like that. You know, their traumas is it's who they are, it's what they are. It's
exactly, and we do a
the
lot of
only
trauma bonding with it.
yeah. Oh god, that's I
it,
yeah.
it gets icky. It gets icky really fast. And then we get
Yeah.
dependent, and then we continue doing these ceremonies. And now I have no problems again, plant medicine or anything, but there's people or individuals, I'm just saying individuals, that will be repetitive in what they do because that's their journey, but it becomes addiction. Everything we do is a behavior, and we can get addicted to our own behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
it's hard to see that. It's hard
exactly.
to ground that.
It's not really hard if you actually understand
The
the
concept.
concept and the prefix of behind even the word addiction. It's a Greek word meaning something you love passionately. I mean, we have all these artists and sculptors back then that were so passionate that that their wives just pretty much left them. It's like, you're just too passionate about this. You're too addicted.
Yeah. And so we're not shaming the
We're not
behavior.
shaming,
What
but
we're looking at is this. And let's just kind of stereotype I'm going to stereotype this, the paranormal person that, like, oh, they take out a spirit board, a Ouija board, or a voice, spirit box, and they start talking to the paranormal. It can get quickly addicting, going, this is exciting because we get a dopamine high and we're discovering stuff about ourselves and information that we weren't aware of. But we don't realize we're also traumatizing ourselves potentially to the unknown of what we don't know what safety is and what safe that is. So as long as you know how to regulate yourself, checking with yourself, you're not going to be overcome by what could be a good behavior can actually turn into a bad behavior. And what
yeah,
people look at as a bad behavior can actually be a good behavior for some people. So we're not going to judge it because it's whatever the person needs. And so it goes back to when you're asked, like, how hard is it with hearing people pass or trauma? I'm like going, it depends on how you had that relationship with that. My brother passed away from suicide. Yes, that's how he transitioned, but that's not why. I know he struggled with mental health. It's like a cold. It was just one of those things, like a car accident. But he's still in my life, in just on the other side. And I get to talk to him, and he's a pain in the ass most of the time. Part of my language, but he's fun. And he was a young father, and I've talked to several people who transitioned that have crossed over that way. I never blame them because there's a window of where we're not in that right state. And if we can get outside that 10 minutes of window, we can actually do well. People feel stigmatized for having suicide ideations. Well, there's that irrational negative thought that we hear in our head. Well, spirit sometimes can actually help push it sometimes, but it's not always that. So we have to work through what is that narrative that we have for ourselves, because we're going to be more cruel to ourselves too than our neighbor that we hate down the road. It's just that we're always outsourcing stuff.